afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alyssa Corum and Ed Carson here. And Ed, we're going to break down the action for the major indexes. It was a pretty strong day across the board, and we're taking a look at three compelling stocks that presented actionable opportunities today. Fill us in.
That's right, Ali. DraftKings, Caterpillar, and Palo Alto Networks are all flashed went into buy zones today.
All right, great. But first, a look at the major indexes. Here is a chart of the NASDAQ, which closed up 1.6% for the day. The S&P 500 up 1.4%. The Russell up 1.2%. The Dow joining the NASDAQ with a 1.6% gain for today. And Ed, where the NASDAQ closed wasn't all too far away from where it closed those all-time highs not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really impressive rebound. There's talk about Biden stimulus plans, just improving coronavirus trends, maybe people shifting out of GameStop and those other crazy stocks and moving it back into growth names. In that regard, it looks great that it bounced back. The only problem is that, I mean, I hate to be a broken record about this, is that the NASDAQ is once again looks a little extended from the 50-day line. I believe we're at the close, we're about 6.5% versus the 50-day line. So we'll have to see how that goes. When it's above 6%, that can be a little bit worrisome. It's not means that there has to be a pullback, but it just means there's a higher risk. And we've seen when we've gotten over 6%, but especially over 7 or 8, we've tended to have pullbacks, at least temporarily. I mean, some of them bigger than others. So I just think investors should be cautious about new buys at this moment now, not necessarily today, but after today.
Right. And when we were getting, let's see here, 8% extended from the 50-day line, we weren't predicting the pullback, but we were saying that the likelihood was high, and it did happen. And a lot of investors did get shaken out with the NASDAQ closing below its 21-day line, an area that up until a couple days ago, this uptrend has respected. So it is a very tricky environment, but we're back at new highs, and we did see this area over here in late August, where we spent quite a bit of time above that 50-day moving average and became as extended as 11.6% above that level. So I guess the question is now, are we just going to pull back again immediately, or can the party keep rolling for a little longer?
It certainly could keep rolling for a little longer. As you pointed out, it definitely did in late August. I mean, then the party ended pretty nasty in 3 days. We were back to the 50-day line, all that way down, wiping out essentially a month's worth of gains. But, we've had 1-day pullbacks, 2-day pullbacks, 2.5-day pullbacks, and then we bounce right back. So, it's just something to keep an eye on. It's just, how extended do you want to be? It's just something to watch as we go forward.
And at the end of the day, it all comes down to your individual holdings. What do your gains look like? Are you down 7 to 8% or more? You got to be following those rules. Of course, there's a lot of gray area in decision making that needs to be had, but those rules are obviously very helpful when you're getting maybe some mixed messages perhaps from the market. But let's take a look at some individual stocks. You mentioned DraftKings, which had a really nice day today, presented a buying opportunity for investors and closed up more than 8% above average turnover here. As you can see, we've seen a number of high volume up days, but today the strongest volume to the upside in since the beginning of the year here, Ed. So what do you make of the move today? Obviously, the catalyst here being ARK Invest disclosing their stake in DraftKings.
Yeah, that happens a lot. What ARK funds invest in, that often, especially with the new buys, or if they make a really big new buy, a big addition, that does move the stocks. It's increasingly so. So it's not a surprise to see a move. It did close a little out of the buy range, but definitely keep an eye on it. It's not too far out of there. I mean, it had tried to break out a whole bunch of times in the last couple of weeks. It hadn't been that convincing. I mean, technically one day it did get above the buy point. Yeah, and you see there was a failed breakout. Then we tried breaking out again, and while we didn't quite say that breakout failed, but so here it's working. This one was a more decisive move with the volume, as you say. Nice shakeout there. the relative strength line, it was something Mark Minervini was saying on IBD Live, our special guest, that the RS line, yeah, it's improving now. And really since the market turned in that rally, when DraftKings bottomed, that's about when the rally took hold. Ever since then, DraftKings has been outperforming the market pretty much. So, while the RS line isn't at new highs, it's definitely been on the right track for the past 3 months.
That it has. So we're gonna keep an eye on it. We aren't gonna get earnings for a couple more weeks, but industry group peer Penn is issuing its quarterly report this week. So we'll have to see if that tells us anything. And of course, we have the Super Bowl this weekend. So who knows? Maybe a lot of people are going to be placing some bets.
That might be, and this was IBD stock of the day, and it was added to leaderboard today as well.
Awesome. And speaking of leaderboard, I usually say the announcements for the end, but that was a great opportunity. Great segue there, Ed. We have leaderboard scorecard coming up at the half hour here at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. It's our monthly webinar exclusive for leaderboard subscribers. We're really getting into the nitty gritty of the leaderboard additions and maybe names that came off the list throughout the month. And it's the first one to kick off the year for 2021's performance. So we hope you join us there, leaderboard.investors.com. All right. And with that out of the way, now let's take a look at Caterpillar, ticker CAT, gaining over 4%, above average turnover. We have earnings out of the way here, Ed, and this is a stock that has seen successful rebounds off of the 50-day line in the past.
Yeah, it has, and it's made a pretty good run since those coronavirus lows. I mean, cyclicals have come on, but they actually came on quite a while ago. So it's been a pretty strong stock since then. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a great buy for first, but there's some nice moves. Nice bounce off the 50-day and the 10-week line. It also bounced from sort of a prior area of support. There was sort of a 3 weeks tight, and sort of a consolidation in that area. So it's right in that area. It's always nice to have that dual support. And then it's probably easier to see on the daily chart on this other part is that it's got above the 21-day line. It sort of broke a downtrend. I mean, because it hit resistance a few days at the 21-day line, and now it seems like it's moved above it. Those are probably reasons why it was added to Swing Trader today. There was a few of those bounces off the 10-week line or 21-day line that was added to Swing Trader today.
And Ed, I want to say when we were on IBD Live on Friday, maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like this was your commentary about Caterpillar that yes, it could be bouncing off of the 10-week, but you really wanted to see it retaking its 21-day and 10-day first and really clearing that trend line. So we're seeing that today. Some people on IBD Live, they say, why do you guys talk about the same stocks all the time? And it's, well, we're getting ready for things like this to potentially happen, so we're not caught off guard when they do.
That's right. And also because we're trying to focus on not a handful, but a select number of stocks. And so you want to try to get the very best stocks. Now, I'm not saying Caterpillar is the very best stock, but you're trying to get to a handful. You don't want to have a talk about some other stock that isn't doing as well or is too extended. We're trying to find stocks that are around buying opportunities. And so for a while, you're going to be talking maybe about the same stocks over a week or two and talking about it. And then it moves. And then if this goes up 20% or it falls 20%, we won't be talking about it so much.
Unless it's for cutting losses or taking profits. We may sneak in a little bit of that. But yeah, we like focusing on stocks that meet our fundamental and technical screening criteria. And let's also talk about Palo Alto Networks, PANW. A really nice move here today for this stock, up over 7%. Some nice volume behind it. And to see that relative strength line hitting a new high, confirming this breakout. That's a pretty bullish signal too.
Yeah, that's really nice to see when the RS line hits a new high with or ahead of time. That's actually something important because it broke out a couple months ago and the stock had sort of been lagging for a couple of years. And so you could have said, I don't know, I'm not sure if I really want to get into this one because there's so many other cybersecurity stocks that have been doing well. I mean, for months and months, even years, actually, I suppose if you go on a weekly chart, you can see how long this stock has sort of been basing, which can be a positive, but it had gone for a long stretch of not really getting anywhere after having huge runs, but sort of a long stretch of not going anywhere. So you could have understandably say, I'm not going to buy, and then it surged up, but now the RS line is there. So often with leading stocks, you may not catch that first breakout, but it's the second one. It's like, okay, it's proved itself. I mean, you certainly could have bought the last one, but this one, sometimes it's a situation where I just don't know. I'm going to wait for to prove itself, and it looks like it has. So really nice action, nice volume on this one.
Yeah, and it closed the day still within this 5% buy zone from the traditional pivot at 375.10. And flipping over to the weekly chart really quickly here, just to check in and it's not letting me click on it, but I was going to see how far above it is above the 10-week line. It's just about 10% above the 10-week line. When you're sizing your position off of the 10-week line within 10% or less, that's kind of the guideline we typically like to say for that. So a strong name out of the computer software security group, ranked number 38 out of the 197 industry groups that IBD tracks. All right, Ed, thanks so much for your insights today. And everyone, make sure you head over to leaderboard.investors.com for our monthly scorecard, and also investors.com to check out that stock of the day article on DraftKings that we mentioned, and today's big picture article getting further into detail on IBD's perspective on current market conditions right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.